Hello everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming this live IELTS lesson to you from Budapest, Central Europe, where we are going into fall and the weather's getting a little bit cooler. I hope everybody who's joining now is feeling great, full of energy and ready for this class. Hi Rahul, good to see members in the class early on. Hi Shailesh, Vadsaria, hi Elnaz. Hi Sainul, hi Jeffrey, good to see you in class as always. Hi Preeti, hi Sandeep, hope everybody's doing great. All right, so today we are targeting IELTS reading strategies. Specifically, we will be looking at list of headings and multiple choice type questions. These materials, the exams are coming from our full course. For those of you that have our exams and that are using our exam books, this will be exam 6, passage 1. So if you have the paperback version, you can get those from Amazon. You can open that up, or you can maybe open up a PDF on your computer. And as usual, our materials are coming from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. So be sure to check us out there. Join our premium world-class course. You can use it on your phone, tablet, PC. Over 100 hours of HD lesson videos, full versions, of course, with no ads, as well as an interactive course. And you can also now get our a version of our course from Udemy. So if you go to Udemy, you do a search for AE Help IELTS, or type in this URL, you will find our course there also. Good for you, Jeffrey. Yes, we just uploaded a new speaking video, parts 1 and 2, with a Thai candidate. She is a native Thai student. And her score is 7.5. So make sure to check out that new speaking video that's available on the channel as well. Try to figure out why she got 7.5. You can see the full video, of course, on our website. It will be there very shortly. Okay, everyone, just before we get to the reading part here, a quick reminder of our schedule. We are doing these broadcasts according to Central European time. Today, reading strategy. Tomorrow, speaking part 3. It'll be something new. And then on the 13th, we'll have a members chat only. Students who are members of our channel get access to our exams, get to request classes, and get access to our live streaming archives as well. All right. 14th, we're doing an HD video shoot, so no class. No class on Sunday, no class Monday, Tuesday. Back to classes on Wednesday. That will kind of be typical for us. All right, so without further ado, let's take a peek at the reading passage for today. Okay, so here is a reading passage. Again, this is reading passage 1 coming from exam number 6. So you can see test number 6 up at the top there. This passage has 3 of the most feared and hated types of questions in the reading section of the academic IELTS, but you might see something similar in general IELTS as well, so pay attention. It has a list of headings type question. It has, so here's that list of headings. We'll talk about that in a minute. Then here's the passage. And then it has a yes, no, not given set of questions, and then finishes off with 3 multiple choice questions. Probably the question types that most students are kind of worried about or stressed about, but there are some really good strategies for these types of questions, and once you learn them, practice them, you can do quite well and get a good score. So don't worry about it. That's why I'm here. I'm here to teach you and show you how to approach these questions. So let's start one at a time. Okay, so you get to the reading passage. Before you look at any of the questions, your first step should be to read the title. Okay? So here the title, sometimes students try to save time, and what they do is they skip over the title. That's a really bad idea. The title is a very accurate, short summary of what you're going to read. So you should absolutely target that and read it first, okay? So first things first, battle for the world's tallest building. Okay, good. So now you should be thinking, okay, this means, what do you think battle here means? So what does battle for the world's tallest building? What would be a good paraphrase or a good synonym for the word battle in this situation? Let's see how many of you are focused and paying attention here. War, I think, Sainul, is not the right one. Sarah, war is not the right one. Jeffrey, you're right. Competition. Competition would be a much better way to paraphrase that in this context, okay? So competition for the world's tallest building. Great. So when you're thinking about this, so when you think, okay, what's going on here? So competition for the world's tallest building, what are we talking about? Before you begin reading, you should try to collect some information quickly in your mind. What can you think of? So when you visualize, when you see this, when you picture yourself maybe like a tourist traveling the world through space and time. So you're traveling to different countries and you're traveling to different time periods in world history. What do you see yourself looking at when you're thinking of these really tall mega buildings, as Rahul is saying? Naveen, good. So you're saying, oh, well, definitely the Burj Khalifa, right? Good for you, Naveen, picturing it as a tour guide. Burj Khalifa, as some of you may or may not know, is the tallest building in the world today. Rahul says, Eiffel Tower. Do you mean Eiffel Tower? I don't know about Eiffel Tower. World Trade Center, Earzoom says. Yeah, I believe in the place of the World Trade Centers now, Earzoom, in the US, they have what's called the Peace Center or the America Building or something it's called. I'm not keeping up with that, but it is a big building, certainly. Jeffrey says Taipei 101. Yeah, definitely Taiwan Taipei has some massive skyscrapers, and Taipei 101 is one of those. Twin Towers, Rahul, perhaps, but they're no longer around, so maybe. All right, so definitely some good ideas there. So you're thinking about that. And you should be thinking about what, why, and how. So you're thinking about the what, right? What? The Burj Khalifa, the Eiffel Tower, the Taipei 101. Now the why. Why? Why build these big buildings? So we'll get to these questions, don't worry, but you got to think smart here. You got to use your critical thinking. Don't just immediately jump at the questions in the passage. A little bit of critical thinking goes a long way to save yourself time and increase your band score. So why build these really big buildings? Rahul says, well, accommodation. You can fit a lot of people into these small spaces. Sunset Swallow says, well, it definitely attracts visitors. Absolutely. I bet you a lot of people travel to the UAE to see the Burj Khalifa, for sure. Tangba says they're landmarks. Jeffrey says for fame. Absolutely. When a country builds a massive building, they become famous. Naveen says pride. A country is very proud of these big buildings. It shows their technological and economic power, right? And Earzoom says, don't forget, it's beautiful. Humans love beauty, and we're willing to go a long ways to create something beautiful, including these mega structures. Mohammed Youssef says to reach the sky. People love to be high up there, above the rest of us all, looking down at the world, feeling like they're on top of it all. And of course, the view is quite amazing. Good. Very good. All right, so you've done that. How? Of course, technology, lots of money, effort, investment. And that's how we do it, put it together from steel and concrete. All right, so now we can go back and have a look at these questions, right? So here we go, list of headings. Okay, so you say, all right, list of headings questions. Should I read all of this before I read the passage? What do you think? Because remember, it's not a good idea to read all the questions before you read the passage. So should I read this list of headings question before the passage? Naveen says yes. Sami says yes. Rahul says no. Vegan Jeffrey says, nah, it's not necessary. I suggest yes, but it's one of those ones where you could be two ways about it depending on the way your brain works and your skills. But I say yes. I say read it before. Notice something interesting. It says reading passage 1, and this is exactly the same as in the official IELTS, okay? So it starts with reading passage 1, and before the title, before the passage, you have this question. It's the only one, okay? There are 11 types of questions in the reading passage of IELTS that you could see. And this one from the 11 is the only one that's given to you before the passage, because according to the IELTS people, this question is quite possibly the only question that you should read before the passage. All the other 10 question types, you should be reading after the passage. I kind of disagree with that, but definitely this one would be a good idea to read before the passage. So let me make a note of that, okay? So let's start taking some notes here about what to do with these questions. So list of headings questions, okay? Number 1, tip. Read it before the passage. It is given to you. It is the only question given to you before the passage. Okay? All right, so definitely read it before the passage. Let's do something a little bit crazy here. Let's think about the multiple choice questions. We'll come back to the list of headings in a second. Okay, multiple choice questions. So we're looking at our questions here. We're going to read that one in a minute. Let's go to multiple choice questions. We're focusing on these two question type strategies today. Should I read these before I read the passage? So staying on kind of the same idea of to read before the passage or not to read before the passage. Rahul says, don't read it before the passage. Rishi, I'll talk about that in 2 seconds. Naveen says, absolutely not. Preeti says, no. Jubilant James says, yes, you can read the question, but don't read the options. I agree with Jubilant James. So the idea here is read parts of questions or read questions that have information which is in the passage. Do not read parts of questions or questions that could be wrong information or that are not in the passage, except for list of headings. So when you're looking at multiple choice, in multiple choice, the question, so this information is definitely somewhere in the passage. But this information, 3 of the 4 is definitely not. Okay, so 3 of these 4 will be confusing. So you want to ignore reading that. Okay, the only thing you want to read is this here. That will also save you time, not focusing on this part of the question. Okay, so just read the question, not the choices. Okay, so here's the tip for multiple choice. Okay, so read the question, not the choices. Don't read potentially false and misleading, is a nice word here to use, information in questions before you read the passage. Okay, again, as I've said many times before in previous lessons, the human brain is not a linear machine, so you can get confused if you do that kind of reading before the passage. Okay? So let's hop back here. So let's just read these. What was the world's tallest building in 1960? Okay. Maybe got a little ahead of myself there. What, according to some commentators, is the difference between buildings and structures? Which statement best summarizes the message of the passage? Okay. Now, I know some of you are really excited about these yes, no, not given, and we have lots of lessons on the right strategies for this. I don't have enough time to teach you about 3 question types, so I'm not going to. But guess what? This one, you do not read before the passage because many answers are going to be no and not given, or potentially many answers, and those are all confusing. You don't know which ones, so don't read yes, no, not given before the passage. It's a bad idea. It's a definite no for those guys, okay? So definite no read before the passage. All right, now, as I mentioned, the list of headings is kind of the only one that you do read. You do have some wrong information here, but you should read these before the passage because they answer a very important question for each paragraph, okay? So for list of headings, your goal, hi Shanu, your goal is to figure out what would be the best title for each paragraph, okay? So as you see here, there's a title for the whole passage. Now imagine that if you're just looking at a paragraph and you read only this, you have to give it a title. Then you read the next paragraph, you read only this, and you have to give it a title. So that's the idea of the list of headings questions, okay? Harmeet, yes, a wide range of vocabulary is a good idea. Critical thinking is even more important. So let's jump back to these list of headings questions. What question does this answer? So when you choose a list of headings answer, what question are you actually answering? Let's see if anybody's figured that out, okay? Remember, there's a specific structure to body paragraphs. A well-written body paragraph usually answers 3 questions in most cases, and they're usually in this order. Okay, Du Nguyen says, the right answer. Du Nguyen, if you guys and girls are watching the chat, Du Nguyen is saying that list of headings questions answers, what is the paragraph about? And Muhammad Yusuf says, well, a good body paragraph should always contain the information of what, why, and how. Another way to think about that, Muhammad Yusuf, is topic sentence, explanation, and an example. Okay, topic sentence is what the paragraph is about. An explanation is why you've just stated that. And the how is the example. So it's how does it work in real life, or how do you show this in real life, okay? So Jubilant James is on par here with us as well, and that is great. Rishi, skimming and scanning is a horrible idea, especially if you're going for high band scores. It doesn't work. Way too much paraphrasing in IELTS for that. And you can get a lot of wrong answers. List of headings will be a good example of why. Okay, so again, let's go back here, and here's our tip number 2 for a list of headings. This question answers the what is this paragraph about? Okay, it is usually the topic sentence. And therefore, it is the answer is commonly found in the first 1 and or 2 sentences of body paragraphs. Okay? Except for which paragraphs? Okay? So usually you'll find the answer to list of headings in the first 1 or 2 sentences. So here, you'll probably find the answer for paragraph B in this first 1 or 2 sentences, except for 2 paragraphs. And Naveen's on top of it. Naveen says, careful, my fellow classmates. The first and last, or the intro and the conclusion, are a little bit more tricky, okay? Figuring out what those paragraphs are about is not always as easy as reading the first sentence. That's because the information can be inferred, means it's indirectly stated, and it can be inverted. So it means that what the paragraph is about could be found, for example, in the thesis statement of the introduction. And you'll notice in your IELTS exams, when you're studying the latest IELTS practice exams, you'll notice that they give the example for paragraph B and not for the introduction. That's because they often know that the level band 8, band 9 students can figure out the introduction and the conclusion, and usually these are the 2 most difficult in this type of question. Okay, the body paragraphs are the easier, so the example is usually given for you for body paragraph B or sometimes for C. Okay, so pay attention to that. Okay, all right. So, so far so good. Hopefully it's clear. Any questions so far about list of headings? So anything that I've said so far that you're not sure about, ask me. Hi, Shaquille Joan. Welcome to the first class with me. All right. Jubilant Jane says, it's all clear. All right, so let's have a look then at the list of headings in a little bit more detail. So I know that I should look at these before the passage. What else should I do with these while I'm reviewing them before I read in the IELTS? So I'm sitting down, I finished the listening section. This is passage 1, I'm getting ready. I realize, okay, these are going to be answering what is the paragraph about, what do I need to do now? Shailesh, you won't be able to find keywords because there's something else going on. Jubilant James says, paraphrase them. Absolutely. So Jubilant James says, you got to try to say these in your own way. Okay? If you can't paraphrase them, don't panic. Just leave it. Okay? Keep going. But if you can, fine. Okay? A controversial designation, or if you can only partially paraphrase them, that's okay too. So if you don't know the word designation, don't panic. It's okay. If you know the word controversial and you can paraphrase this, that's already a good start. Okay? So paraphrase them. The reason why is because your answers in the passage, the information, will be a paraphrase. It's very rare that you're going to find the exact same word in the paragraph as in the choices. And if you do, it's often the wrong answer. Okay? So you have to paraphrase these. What's another way to say controversial? Think about that, and I'll write up this very important note for you. Okay? So this is a remember kind of note here. It is very rare to find the same words in the correct list of headings choice. That's because it would be too easy that way. List of headings choice as the matching paragraph. And often when you do, it is the wrong answer. And again, it would be too easy if that's all you needed to do, okay? This is an English exam. It's not Go Fish. Go Fish is a game of cards where you have to match the same card. It's not a game of Go Fish, okay, that's played by little children. This is an English exam to see if you can perform in university. And matching words like designation. Oh, I see designation here, and I see designation there. It must be the right answer. That's not going to happen for you. That's not the way an English exam of this caliber works, nor is it the way that education at the university level works. So don't think that way. Okay, Mercy Phillip says, Adrian, let's get focused here. Controversial means debatable or disputable. Contentious, Jeffrey, is a very nice one. Shahrukh says argumentative. Yeah, controversial. I think some of your paraphrases are great, but I think there's some easier ones like debatable. Okay, so debatable, controversial, arguable. Those are probably the most common ways. Designation. Let's see who knows the meaning of that word. Questionable might be okay as well. Designation. Anybody know the meaning of that one? Position is not bad. Syed, Mehdi. Yeah, position is not bad. Status is okay. Jubilant James. Yeah, position, status. Appointment would be as well a good one. Okay, so appointment would be a good answer. Label would be another one. I'm just giving you some different ones that I haven't seen up there. Okay. Status is a good one as well. All right, good. The Industrial Revolution. What's another way to say the Industrial Revolution? What is another way? It's a kind of a tricky question, but it's possible to paraphrase even this word, the Industrial Revolution. You could think about it as mechanization in the 1600s. Okay, so the Industrial Revolution is when factories and industrial growth started to happen, especially in the United Kingdom, starting in the 1600s. Okay, and that's mechanization, so the use of machines for production, and that's the Industrial Revolution, absolutely. I believe it was the late 1600s. The birth of factories, Jeffrey, is a good way to say it as well, absolutely. Buildings in space. What's another way to say that? We could say something like structures in the universe. Okay. Fast and impressive. Quick and amazing. Something like that. The reign of churches. The rule of cathedrals. Okay, now you're probably going, whoa, 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 Adrian, slow down. You expect me to do something like that? Yeah, I do. You don't have to do it as quickly as me, and or you don't have to do it as quickly as me yet. But when you're practicing at home to get ready for the IELTS, definitely take this step and write down the paraphrasing for each of these possible choices for the list of headings. During the IELTS exam, you don't have time for that, okay? Most of you will not have time to write down all the paraphrasing for each of these choices. So don't do it. Don't write it down, but think about it, okay? In your head, try to think about as many of these words, as many of these paraphrasings as you can, okay? Of course, you have a tool to help you. So what tool helps you to paraphrase? Just give me a moment here. It's a quick peek at my daughter a couple years back. She's a cute little baby. And here we go back to the lesson. So what tool can help you to paraphrase if you're lost and you don't know synonyms or antonyms or definitions, descriptions? So how can you get help with the paraphrasing? What can you use? And you have it in Microsoft Word, which I'm sure most of you have on your computer. It is a thesaurus, Muhammad Yosef. It is a thesaurus, Jeffrey. Very good. Thank you. Sheesh. Yeah, use a thesaurus, okay? So thesaurus is a synonym antonym dictionary. That's what you want to use if you get stuck doing this when you're practicing at home. It's a great way to improve your vocabulary as well. So definitely do it. It's in context, so it's good. All right, so paraphrase. The choice is on paper, at home, when getting ready for IELTS. Use a thesaurus if you are stuck. Okay, it's in your options in Microsoft Word. Let me show that to you real quick. I think it's in the Home tab or in the Review or References. I think that's the right tab, maybe. No. Review. Yeah, it's in the Review tab, okay? So it's a little bit small here, but if you go to your Review tab in Microsoft Word in the top left corner of my English version anyway, you can click on the thesaurus. When you click on that, it'll bring up options for different words, okay? You can just type in a word and find it there, so. All right. So remember, paraphrase. On the IELTS, so during the exam, don't write down the paraphrasings unless you're very quick. Paraphrases, but definitely think of them in your head. Okay? It's a very good idea. It will help you find the right answer. All right? Now, some of you are probably thinking, Adrian, this is taking way too long. But it isn't, okay? When you do this at home and you practice this regularly, you get very quick at it, all right? You'll be very, very quick, and you'll be able to do this quickly. So again, go through all of them and paraphrase. Now, there's one last important detail with these list of headings questions that's a little bit different from the other questions, okay? So you've done your paraphrasing, you're feeling good. In the real exam, you've thought about your paraphrasing, you're feeling great. One last tip is list of headings questions. It's the only question type that I suggest you answer while you read. All of the other question types, answer after you finished reading, okay? This one, answer while you read. It's a little bit easier. It's hard to keep in mind all of the information and then do it at the end of the reading. So, so definitely answer while you read, okay? And we're going to do that now, okay? So okay, so this is going to be tip number 5. So answer these questions after reading a paragraph. Keep in mind, it is the only question type that you should answer while you read the passage. Okay? All other questions you should answer when you are finished reading. Okay? So keep that in mind. All right? Keep that in mind. Let's do that now. So let's read this together. Battle for the world's tallest building. We'll answer each of these as we go along. So we'll do this list of headings questions. Okay? All right, here we go. So, A, read with me nice and loud. I absolutely recommend doing aloud reading at home when you're practicing for the IELTS. Read with me aloud. So, the desire to construct taller and taller structures has been a part of human culture for at least 4,500 years. Dating back to ancient Egypt and through the modern day, the construction of tall structures has mirrored advances in technology, logistics, and engineering. Today, the world's tallest buildings are landmarks, tourist attractions, and points of civic and national pride for residents. I finished reading the question. I ask myself, do this in the exam. So after you do your paragraph, ask, what is this paragraph about? And actually do that. So when you're practicing at home, ask yourself, literally ask yourself, say, don't think you're going crazy. Okay, you haven't lost your marbles, but actually ask yourself, what is this paragraph about? And then answer in a full sentence, okay? Okay, so let's do that. What is paragraph A about here? So what is this paragraph about in a full sentence? What is paragraph A about? The one that we just read. Okay? So what is this paragraph about? Don't give me an answer. I just want to hear the answer of what the paragraph is about. What is this paragraph about? What is it talking about? Sharon Diva says it's about tallest buildings in ancient times and modern development. To construct taller and taller buildings, about modern buildings, yeah. History and modern approach about tall buildings, sure. This would be a good place to look at. The desire to construct taller and taller structures has been a part of human culture for at least 4,500 years. Okay, so my answer to what is this paragraph about would just combine all the information here. So it would be something like this. Okay, again, when you practice this, it'll become easier. So the paragraph is about 5,000 years of human desire to build taller buildings for several reasons. Okay, and I don't need to list those because those are details. Oh. All right, so that's my full sentence answer. The paragraph is about 5,000 years of human desire to build taller buildings for several reasons, okay? Technology and so on and so forth. So now what I want to do, okay, is then match the closest choice, okay? So if I'm thinking about this, the paragraph is about 5,000 years of human desire to build taller buildings for several reasons. What is the closest choice from the options given? Okay, so we have a controversial designation, industrial revolution, buildings in space, fast and impressive, the reign of churches, the Strasbourg Cathedral, a part of human history, technology, logistics, and engineering, the industrial acceleration, tall structures of the ancient world, looking towards the future. What do you think is the closest answer to this? So a lot of you are saying, well, I think it's 7, right? Because we all seem to say that it's the history of humans. So, okay, fine. Yeah, I agree. I think this one. Why not this one? Why not technology, logistics, and engineering? So why not pick 8 instead of 7? Anybody? It can't be Irzum, and there is a reason for that. So I would pick 7. Okay, let's keep it there. So put in the Roman numeral 7 in the answer space. The reason I wouldn't pick, it's important to know why not to pick something. So the reason I wouldn't pick technology, logistics, and engineering is because it's details. Okay, it's just details in the paragraph, and we're not answering the why and the how question. We're answering the what question, and the what question is better answered by a part of human history. tall buildings have been a part of human history is much more accurate to the what question. Why? Because it's a development in technology, logistics, and engineering. Okay, so again, remember, you're focusing on the what question. And this is where if some students are skimming and scanning for answers, so you're searching for answers, and you're looking for these, you might get it wrong because you'll find those words in the paragraph. But it's too specific. The question asks you, okay, to find the correct heading for each paragraph, not find the details of each paragraph, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, let's continue on. Oops, let's jump back here and continue on. So paragraph B, okay, so we're going to go a little bit more smooth, a little bit more fluid now. Ancient Egyptians believed that to be closer to the sky was to be closer to the realm of the gods and afterlife. While regular Egyptians had to settle for burial in the ground, the pharaohs got to be entombed much closer to the sky in purpose-built pyramids, the world's first truly high structures. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built in approximately 2560 BCE for the burial of the pharaoh Khufu, reaching a height of 481 feet. At the time of construction, the Great Pyramid was the tallest structure in the world for almost 4,000 years. What is this paragraph about? What is this paragraph about? In a full sentence, okay? Answer me in a full sentence. It doesn't matter, Rahul. You should still practice answering it, even if it's given. Don't take candy from strangers, meaning don't take given answers from IELTS. Still do the answers yourself, especially when you're practicing at home. But yes, in the IELTS, you can save a bit of time by skipping over that one. Okay, so tallest building, about old buildings, Amardeep, yeah, absolutely. The Egyptians' fantasy to reach the sky, well, it's a little bit specific, Aditya. The first tallest buildings were built by Egyptians, says Jeffrey. That's what it's about. Yeah, I agree. So if I had to summarize this paragraph in one sentence, I would say the tall buildings of ancient times, okay? The pyramids. The tall buildings of ancient times, the pyramids in Egypt. That would be my answer. And if we go back and we look at our choices, we go through them, we know it's not. Tall structures of the ancient world. Don, 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 don. Yeah, that would be the right one. And of course, that one's actually given to us, as Rahul mentioned, as the example. There's X right there. So we can just go on, okay? I have actually seen students make mistakes with the example given, not by missing this, but they'll actually put X for another answer. Don't do that, okay? Each answer is only once for this type of question, and I've actually seen students make this silly mistake where they'll choose another one, like for paragraph A, they'll put in X into their answer sheet, and they won't pay attention. And yeah, you just lost an easy, silly mark. So be careful about that, okay? All right, let's go to C. Continue on with me. Here we go. It wasn't until the year 1311 CE and the construction of the Lincoln Cathedral in England that the height of the Great Pyramid was surpassed. At 525 feet, it was only slightly taller. Throughout the period from 1311 to 1880, the title of the world's tallest building changed hands a number of times through both destruction and construction, but each structure was a European church. Interestingly, the world's tallest building from 1647 to 1874, the Strasbourg Cathedral in France, was actually shorter than the original height of the Great Pyramid. Standing 469 feet, the cathedral was approximately 13 feet taller than the Great Pyramid's contemporary height, which had been reduced 35 feet from its original stature by erosion. Okay, interesting. What is this paragraph about? Amardeep, you do not need to apply any other logic. This is the logic you need to apply. So what is it about? What is this paragraph clearly about? Notice redundancy. So here's a little bit more logic, Amardeep. If you see a theme occurring again and again and again within the paragraph, then you can definitely guess that it's about that. What theme do you see repeating over and over and over again in this? Sharon's Diva says it's about cathedral churches. Yeah, I agree with you. Annalisa says changes over time. Mercy Phillips says a lot of things about cathedrals in there. Cathedrals and churches, says Sharon Diva again. Vegan Jeffrey says tall buildings in Europe are churches and cathedrals, right? Holy buildings, yeah. And again, just what I mentioned, if you see, so cathedral is a type of church. You see it there, okay? You see church here. You see cathedral here. So there's three. And that is definitely a repeating. I'm seeing if I can spot a fourth one here. So that's definitely a repeating theme there, these European churches. So that should give you an idea that it's about churches. Okay, so a lot of things about churches here. Let's see if something matches with that answer. So what is it about? It's about European churches being the tallest buildings for roughly 500 years. Controversial designation, no. Industrial Revolution, no. Buildings in space, no. Fast and impressive, no. The reign of churches, ooh, that looks pretty good. The Strasbourg Cathedral, maybe. A part of human history, no. Technology, logistics, no. The industrial acceleration. Tall structures of the ancient world, I don't think so, because we're all the way up into the 1800s, which is not the ancient world anymore. It's history, but not ancient history. And then looking towards the future. You should know ancient means thousands of years, okay? Not hundreds of years, okay? So a lot of you are saying it should be 5. Why not 6? So why not Strasbourg Cathedral? It's there. So that word is in there. Why not 6? So why is it not 6? Very important question. Muhammad Yusuf says it's not just about one church, okay? It's too specific. It's an example. Absolutely. List of headings is asking you to give a title for the paragraph. So what is the paragraph about? And you're right, Muhammad. It's not just about one church. So this is too much detail. It's more about the how. Okay, it's an example. It's the same as what I showed you, especially for those of you who are watching the class from the beginning, with this one. It's the same. It's too specific. Okay, so if you're searching, you're skimming, and you're scanning, you might have just got 2 of these wrong, okay, because you find this one, you just got it wrong. I saw Strasbourg Cathedral, you just got that wrong as well, okay? So skimming and scanning is not a good strategy. Don't use it if you want good marks, especially for these list of headings questions. So the best answer here is the reign of the churches, so the rule of the churches. Even if you don't understand this part, just churches, plural, and seeing that the paragraph talks about multiple churches is a great logic, okay, for that one. So definitely choose number 5. Now, notice that I'm not crossing these out, okay? So we picked 5, we have 10, 10 you can cross out, but it's the only one. And I didn't cross out this one, okay? Why am I not crossing out these choices after I choose them? Here's another interesting tip for these list of headings questions. Why is it a bad idea to cross out the answers that you have picked and put into your answer sheet? And I definitely don't suggest it. So I don't suggest crossing this out. So Sharon says we could get confused. Aditya says maybe it can be used again in other paragraphs. Not quite, Aditya. You're kind of on the right track, but remember, there's only one correct answer here. Okay? Jeffrey has the right answer. Jeffrey says because you won't double check afterwards. That's right. So what happens is if you cross them out, then the next time you're just going to skip it. So you're like, oh, I already chose that one. I'm not even going to read it. But you should. Okay, so you should at least quickly glance at each option when you're giving these answers, because you might realize that, hey, wait a second, this one is much better for this paragraph than the one I chose it for, so I might need to change that. I might need to take a second look. Okay, so if you cross it out, then you're not going to double check, and you might not find that, in fact, it's the answer for a different paragraph. Cross them out. You can cross out X just because it's given, so you know it's not going to be that one, okay? This is the only one that you can be 1,000% sure is not going to be any of the answers, because that one's given to you, okay? So don't cross out answers, okay? So I gave you a couple more tips there that you can use. One of the students was asking there, okay, for these questions. So number 7 tip here is do not cross out answers, as you may find that the heading is actually better for a later paragraph. Okay, and 8, pay attention to repetitive themes like churches. This will give you a very good idea of what the paragraph is about. All right? So those are a couple more tips. All right, I think that's it for the tips. Let's keep going here. Okay, let's do D, paragraph D. Bear with me. Let's read this one. So 1884 marked the first time the world's tallest building stood in North America. The Washington Monument, standing 555 feet in Washington, D.C., is also the world's tallest obelisk and tallest all-stone structure. During this period, engineers and architects were reaping the fruits of the 19th century Industrial Revolution, which led to the accelerating advances in construction, engineering, and technology. In 1889, the Eiffel Tower was completed and stood as the world's tallest building at 986 feet for over 40 years. Okay? What is this paragraph about? What is this paragraph about? What would be the best answer for this paragraph? Amardeep, keep in mind that usually for body paragraphs, even if it's a long one, the answer is going to be in the first couple sentences. Okay? Akala says tallest buildings. Nope. Akala, that would be for the entire passage. That's not specific enough. You need to be a little bit more specific. Hussam, very nice in 2 words. You're saying construction and technology. Sai Pratap says kind of the same thing, says latest technologies and how that affects taller buildings. Jitesh says, making use of technology and engineering for building bigger buildings. Yeah, those are some good answers. So it doesn't have to be the exact same answer for everybody. It just has to be the same idea, okay? And the same idea here is new technology helps to make taller buildings. Let's see if we can find something that matches what some of you students and what I just said. Okay, so controversial designation, I don't know. The Industrial Revolution, maybe that was in there. Buildings in space, fast and impressive, I don't know. The reign of the churches, the Strasbourg Cathedral, doesn't look a part of human history. Technology, logistics, and engineering, the industrial acceleration, tall structures of the ancient world, looking towards the future. What do you think? What would be the one that you would give for this? Okay, so some of you are saying, I think it's 11. Or some of you are saying, I think it's 9. What about 8? Maybe. A lot of you are saying it's got to be the last one, looking towards the future. Well, if you're not sure, have a look at the first couple sentences, okay? Mark, the first time the world's tallest building stood in North America. The Washington Monument is the world's tallest obelisk. During this period, engineers and architects were reaping the fruits of... So this is not helping me because here this is detail. So in this paragraph, the example is coming before the topic sentence, okay? Careful, it's not always that easy. So during this, engineers, architects were reaping the fruits of the Industrial Revolution, which led to accelerating advances in construction, engineering, and technology. Okay? So accelerating, acceleration, industrial acceleration, possibly. Okay? So let's go back there. And let's say, okay, I think the closest one is industrial acceleration, so development, building faster buildings with technology. This includes the word technology and development, the closest. So let's go with number 9, okay? So I think number 9 is probably the best bet here. Now, don't panic, okay? It might become more clear later. Okay, so that's another tip that you don't want to panic. Just give your answer and leave it. Once you figure out the other paragraphs, you might get some more help to make sure that this is correct or that you need to change it. Okay? So why not XI? There's nothing about the future in this one, okay? Looking towards the future would be something like in space or past modern times. We're still talking about the past here, so this would definitely be a wrong answer. There's nothing about the future in this paragraph. It's still in the past, okay? Somebody's asking, why did we not take 8? Technology, logistics, and engineering. Because these are specific details, as we've already discussed. Logistics is not really discussed in this paragraph from what I saw, but it could be, okay? So we'll keep a question mark there. Let's just continue on. I think industrial acceleration makes more sense because the paragraph says they're reaping the rewards of the industrial age, and there's acceleration in the buildings of tall buildings and technology, okay? Jubilant James is saying, why not number 2, the Industrial Revolution? It could be. I mean, it does talk about that as well, so it could be one of those, but the industrial acceleration could be right as well. We'll find out. Don't worry for now, okay? We can go back to it. Just have faith. Okay, let's go to paragraph E. The reason why you want to continue here is because you might realize that the Industrial Revolution or logistics technology will be the answer from one of the later paragraphs, and then you won't have a question in your mind, okay? And Sharon Diva is right. Acceleration is more specific in this case. All right. Just a moment. Let's get back on here. I'm just realizing we're running a little bit short on time, ladies and gentlemen, so I think let's switch to multiple choice. What I will do is go through a couple multiple choice with you, and then in class tomorrow at the very beginning, I'll give you the answer key for these so you can be sure. But I do want to jump to multiple choice just for a minute, so we got to finish reading this passage. And then I want to talk a little bit more about multiple choice, okay? All right. Let's keep going. Let's go to paragraph E. Let's finish reading the passage. So the designation of world's tallest building returned to the United States in 1932 with the construction of the 1,250-foot Empire State Building in New York City, one of the incredible architectural achievements of the 20th century. It was completed in just over a year at an astonishing pace. The first building in the world to boast over 100 stories, the Empire State Building stood as the world's tallest for 36 years. Okay, let's keep going. After domination by Egypt, Western Europe, and the United States, 1975 saw Toronto, Canada's CN Tower, steal away the designation of world's tallest with a height of 1,815 feet. Over a third of a mile high, the CN Tower was the world's tallest for 32 years. This designation is disputed by some academics as they believe a building must be inhabited or be worked in order to count as a building. The CN Tower is neither worked in nor lived in, though it does have an observation deck. So while it was unambiguously the world's tallest structure during this period, opinions differ on whether it was the world's tallest building. 2007 clarified any debate there was concerning the designation. With the construction of the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, it became undoubtedly the world's tallest structure and building. Standing 2,722 feet, precisely 50% higher than the CN Tower, the Burj Khalifa soars over half a mile into the sky. Where do we go from here? What heights will buildings of the future reach? Will we one day construct buildings that reach into space? While the impetus for the construction of taller and taller buildings may no longer be proximity to the gods, the desire to touch the sky with our creations remains. Okay, so let's jump the yes, no, not given. You can have a look at this, and you can take a look at the video later on the channel and try to answer this yes, no, not given. If you don't know much about these questions, search for some other videos on our channel that talk about that question type, okay? So let's have a peek at some of these multiple choice questions. Okay, with multiple choice, there's one very important strategy. It is the most important strategy that you need to apply. Does anybody know what that is? What is the most important strategy that you have to use with multiple choice type questions? So we're focusing on the multiple choice here. What is the most important strategy for multiple choice? So Ali says exceptions, eliminations, nope. Jubilant James says don't change the answer. That's a very good idea, but it's not the right one. Jeffrey says answer the question on your own first. Absolutely. Okay, girls and guys, if you do a search for multiple choice question strategies on the internet, the top websites that give you good information about this, you'll find a couple of them, all agree, I agree with them, that the most important step in any multiple choice question is always try to answer it on your own before you look at your choices, okay? That is the most important strategy, all right? So I'm going to give it like 8 stars or 7 stars or something. You must always try to answer the multiple choice question on your own before you look at the choices. Okay? There's a couple reasons for this. This avoids confusion and gives confidence in the answers. Okay, so when you try to answer the question on your own first, if you find the matching answer to your answer, you can be very sure that that is most likely the right answer. If you don't find anything that's close to your answer, then you can realize that, well, I'm off to left field and I need to pay attention, and maybe now I need to go back and have a second look at this, okay? Vikar's saying matching keywords is, again, I cringe, it pains me, Vikar's saying, when students write that into the comment thread of matching keywords. IELTS is full of paraphrasing. If you're matching keywords, you're gonna bomb the reading section, and I really don't want you to do that, okay? So it's not a game of go fish, all right? The only band score you're gonna get if you doing that is probably like a band 4, 4.5, maybe a 5, okay? So don't do that. All right, so let's take a look at this. Okay, so what was the world's tallest building in 1960? On your own, from the passage, from what we read, what was the world's tallest building in 1960? And it's okay if you don't remember exactly. Try to give the one that you think it is, okay? So in your own words, I don't want your... Okay, Sami says, I think it was the Empire State Building. Yeah. And Hussam says it was one of the ones in US or Canada, I'm pretty sure, at that time. Good. So even if you don't remember exactly, so you're like, I think it was the Empire State Building, it was maybe the CN Tower, Jignesh says, then you can go back and check, because now you know specifically what you need to look for, okay? So if you say, all right, well, 1960, okay, so let's keep that in mind. So here... 1975 is Canada's CN Tower. Okay, well, it's 1975. Can't be that one. So most likely it's going to be the Empire State Building. Okay, so we look here, United States in 1932, Empire State Building. Okay, good. And for 36 years, it was the tallest building. 1932 plus 36, 1970, right? So definitely the Empire State Building. Okay. So that is the most important strategy, is answer on your own first. So this one's going to be A, okay? All right, let's have a look at the next one. Okay, so remember, it's in 1960, not the 60s. It's in 1960, the world's tallest building, Empire State Building. Okay, what, according to some commentators, is the difference between buildings and structures? So, according to some people, what is the difference between buildings and structures? In your own word, in your own words, what is the difference? Okay, so answer on your own. What's a building versus a structure? What is one versus the other? Earzoom says structures don't have solid body material. I don't think so. Earzoom, it doesn't say that in the passage. And in fact, the CN Tower is quite a solid body structure. Jignesh says buildings have residents, structures, or just tourist attractions. Careful, Jignesh. Buildings can be tourist attractions as well. Taib says buildings are higher than structures. Not true. CN Tower was the highest building in 1975. Muhammad says structures don't have offices, don't have people living in them. Yeah, so it clearly says in the passage that buildings should be something that people live in or work in. Structures, they can be something that we have, but people don't need to live in them or don't need to work in them. So, buildings are made of different materials? No. Buildings were constructed after 1932. That's definitely a silly answer, so we can cross that one out. We can eliminate that. Buildings are designed for people to spend time in? Maybe. Okay. Buildings have observation decks. Okay, I don't really remember anything about that, so probably not. So which is the best answer here? C, yeah, okay. Sure, yeah, okay. Spend time in, what is this paraphrasing? This is paraphrasing work and live. Okay, so work and live in. So C is the correct answer. This is the closest answer to work and live. All right, so that's going to be the right answer. Never change multiple choice answers once you have them. Once you pick the answer you believe is right, leave it. 80% of the time, people will change correct answers to wrong answers, so do not change your multiple choice answers, okay? That's the next tip that I want to give you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, have a look at question 13 here. Which statement best summarizes the message of the passage? Answer this question on your own. Then choose the correct answer. That is your last piece of homework assignment. So question number 13 for homework. Yes, no, not given for homework. And the last list of headings, questions here. So for paragraph E and F, and G. So the last three paragraphs, figure out the best list of headings with the strategies that I showed you. That is all the time we have for today's class. I hope you picked up some valuable information from this lesson. Make sure to practice it at home. It kind of looks easy when I go through it nice and quick and smooth like this, but it definitely takes practice. You have to practice these skills before you sit the IELTS exam, okay? Study at home, practice your paraphrasing, apply these strategies, watch your band scores improve, okay? Again, you can learn, review, expand on these strategies, tips, and skills in our full courses. Join us. Spend a few dollars, save a lot of dollars not having to sit the IELTS exam again. Learn from a structured course. Free online materials, girls and guys, they're great, they're fun, but you get a lot more from well-structured materials, a lot more efficiency in your studies with your time and your energy. So I highly recommend joining us for academic IELTS at ahelp.com. GIELTS help.com is for general IELTS. It's for your own good. I really, really believe that. So check us out there, join the full courses, and I will see you tomorrow for speaking part 3 practice and strategy. And I'll start the class off by giving you the answer keys for these questions for this reading passage, okay? Have an awesome rest of your day. If it's getting late in your country, then start to wind down, have a nice cup of herbal tea, maybe cozy up, read a little bit of a book, and go to sleep, have some sweet dreams, wake up fresh, energized tomorrow, ready for another beautiful day on our beautiful planet Earth. Thank you, Jeffrey, for that super chat donation. Always appreciate your support. Bye for now, everyone. Much love.